Well, we have learned the numbers from 1 to 9. Those are one digit, 一位数. And number 10 is a double digit. Can you imagine 3,000 years ago in archival inscription, what would you choose for number 10? Remember, number 7 is already one horizontal stroke and one vertical stroke. It's a cross. So it seems that we don't have much option. So number 10 in archival inscription is just a one vertical stroke. It's like an Arabic number 1. And you may wonder, why don't you draw a circle? Because the earliest Chinese character, Yaguwen, archival inscription, was using a knife carved on the potato shell and the ox bones. So the line segment is much easier than arch. This laid the foundation of the structure and the shape of the Chinese characters. So our Chinese character is called 方块字, square-shaped characters. You see, even the character round the circle, 圆, it's a square one. This is a traditional Chinese and this is simplified. About 2,200 years ago, paper was invented in China. So writing on the paper with a brush is much easier. It's like a drawing. You can have a freestyle. So there's a calligraphy in China. We can express our emotion with the characters. But most important about the character is recording history and displaying things. It requires that everybody can recognize it. Even being a Chinese, it's really difficult to identify the calligraphy. It's another kind of art. You have to learn it. About 1,300 years ago in Tang Dynasty, printing was invented. So the technology was used for spreading rhythm scriptures and record history. This is one kind of saying. It said compared with the alphabetic writing system, Chinese characters can express complex meanings with fewer characters. A single Chinese character may represent a complete concept, while in alphabetic writing system, multiple words may be needed to express the same concept. I have been learning English by myself for 30 years. During my learning process, I found that this only exists in ancient classical Chinese, such as ancient poems. Modern Chinese, if we want to say the same thing, Chinese and English is similar. Bronze inscription is the characters cast on the bronze ware, like a bronze cauldron is inside, but for the bronze bell, it's outside. So bronze inscription is also called 钟鼎文, bell and cauldron character. The bronzeware was cast in the inner mold and the outer mold. The craftsman would use a clay strip to make the characters on the surface of the inner mold. When casting the bronzeware, the hot metal liquid would flow between the inner mold and the outer mold. In order to protect the characters, the shape of the character should fit the fluid mechanics. The character on the mold we call the yang character, and the character on the bronzeware we call the yin character. Most of the bronze character was cast on the bronzeware. Only a few was carved on the bronzeware. That's almost at the end of the bronze inscription. So during my research, I found out during Shang Dynasty, there's an archival inscription and also there's a bronzeware inscription. So those two kinds of character was a parallel. Just like today, in mainland China, we use to simplify the Chinese, but in other areas, people use traditional Chinese. The number 10, 十. In archival inscription, it's a horizontal stroke. In bronze inscription, there's a dot in the middle. It's just like our abacus. The horizontal stroke is the stick. The dot is the bead. 算盘 abacus. When I was in the primary school, we have an abacus class. Everybody, we carry abacus to school. When we walking, we heard the noise of the beads. That's the basic counting skill. But today, no one would use it. And if we switch these two characters, 盘算, that means reckon, 算, like this boss of the shop. In small seal script, it's just like a cross. So the Chinese character 10, 十, is a cross. But you'll find a problem. So number 1 is very easy to make number 10. Just to make a horizontal stroke, it will become from 一 to 直. That's a big problem. So 一 直 both have a capital character. And also 直 You can change it to 5 by put a stroke on the top and a stroke here, and on the bottom it will become 5, or just make a tail, it will become 7, or make a curve to make it 9. So this is the capital form of number 10, 直, and we will break it down. This character is 手, 知柔手, hand. It's just like our hands, or maybe like a feather. And this radical we call it 提手旁, lifted hand side, just like our hand, and you lift up, it change a little bit. So this is a very important radical in tense character. If you find a tense character with 提手旁, that means it's related to hand. And this character is 鬼, 恶为鬼. You don't need to remember this character, but you see in the article inscription, it's just like a food container. Gui is a bronze ritual and food vessel during the Shang and Zhou dynasties. We used it to hold the grains such as millet, rice, and sorghum. It was similar to a large bowl nowadays. Gui vividly reflects the strict hierarchy of ancient China. Under the framework of the ritual and the legal system of the Shang and Zhou dynasties, there was strict usage for bronze gui in sacrificial and banquet occasions. They needed to be used in even-numbered combination paired with odd-numbered combination of royal cauldrons. For example, the Son of Heaven, like the king monarch, who held the most honored position, used 9 cauldrons and 8 gui in ceremonial occasions. The feudal lord, the dukes, used 7 cauldrons and 6 gui. The hierarchy officials used 5 cauldrons and 4 gui. The common gentleman used 3 cauldrons and 2 gui. And this is the right part of this character. It pronounced 和. In archibald inscription, it's just like a bronzeware. There's a covered lid on the top and the body of the container. And this one is a mouse. Another writing is a mouse. So you cover the container or cover the mouse. It means close, shut. So when I was a kid, there's a riddle for character. It's a 人一口 person, one mouse. And this is E. Sometimes we pronounce the E. Sometimes we pronounce the E. Few character pronunciation was according to the context. So everybody have a one mouse, one bite. That means we share it. It also means together. Like 合唱, together, singing, chorus. And here's 2 mouths singing together. And you see this character Chang singing. That's 3 big mouths. And also have other meaning like combine, unite, merge, join. Chinese people are very shy. And here's 2 mouths. And you know what I mean. This bronze well is made in the shape of an ox. The top part is the cover. The bottom part is the container. So put them together, it's a 和, make it a complete sealed container. So the quadrangle, 四合院, means a full-size closed yard. So the house was sealed and it's good for privacy. About 2,500 years ago, in Confucius' time, there's 6 arts, 六艺, that is 礼, 乐, 射, 御, 书, 注. The rites is the most important. Among those rites, 射礼, archery rite. It's an old-fashioned Chinese ceremony that combines archery skills with polite rules. This character 十, the original meaning is the leather arm guard for archery. It's called bow. When we're shooting arrows, we need a hand. So on the left side, when we're shooting, aiming the target, we need to be concentrate, hold your breath. So this triangle on the top means close your mouth, hold your breath. When you finish the shooting, the school announcer, he would wave a jing, a streamer, a flag with colored bird feathers as pole decorations, and he would report and yelling, 嚯! That means a capture. So the mouse on the bottom is the announcer, open his mouth and yelling. Then the archer would go to the target and pick up the arrows and tidy them up. So this is a character 直, 知宜时, tidy up, pick up, collect. Another easy way we can imagine on the left side is a hand and pick up the lid. So this is a 十, 知, 知宜时, 直进制, decimal. This is how we use the abacus. There's a 5 on the bottom part, each one similar to 1. and 2 on the top, each one symbolizes a 5. This character is a swan. Calculate. We have one idiom, it's called 十全十美 10 whole, 10 beautiful. That means perfect. The character 10 looks like a cross, so in China, we call it 十字架 cross. And also, the crossroad, we call it 十字路口. It looks like a number 10. In the Bible, there's a 10 commandments. It's 十诫. And we have one idiom, it's called 十恶不赦 10 evil, not pardon. That means unpardonable. In ancient China, the top one is Juzhen, overthrown the dynasty. Another idiom is 十万火急 10,000. We'll learn 10,000 in future. Quite urgent. That means extremely urgent. 十万 100,000. It doesn't mean a specific number. It's a way of exaggeration of a stress that the situation is extremely urgent. And this is a 10-yuan note issued in 1965. The front side is the representatives coming out from the Great Hall of People, the Parliament building. So we call it 大团结, great unity. But you don't see this old note today. When I was a kid, this is the biggest note. On the back is the Tiananmen Square. This is the old Tiananmen Square. In 1959, they cleared this area and built the Great Hall of People. 十一时 number 10. And this is 100. We will break that down. In the ancient dictionary 说文解字, Xu Chen said, the one coming out is yang, the one enter is yin. So this character follows the 入 enter. And one is yang, and 不 is yin. So this character was made of enter and 不. Ancient Chinese believe the yang air is bright coming out. The yin air is intake enter. A white color is connected with the yin air. That means the yin air coming into. For small script, it makes some sense. When yin is dominant, the things is a white color. It's like in winter, when there's a snow or frost, it looks like a white. But this explanation is very obscure, very confusing. If you look at the Erkebon inscription and the Bronze inscription, and even modern character, they didn't say so. It's only fit for small script. Fundamental rule of making Chinese characters is 近取诸真，远取诸物. That means when it's close, we take something from our body. When it's far, we take things from the nature. This character is 白, 白, means white. This is the lunula on our thumb. 百 100 is one white lunula. And this is 100. 百 百. This character is 400. It's B, 4EB. But this character is not popular. What's the capital form of 100? And this is a territorial army, 兵马俑. We don't have a solid record which one is the centurion, 百夫长. According to their uniform and hat, and this guy may be the centurion. The capital form of 100 is put a man beside 100. This is 百, 百. In ancient China, when kids start to learn reading, there's a basic reading material for enlightenment. It's called 百家姓, 100 family surnames. It was written over 1,000 years ago in the Song dynasty. It covers almost all the Chinese surnames in the book. I started with Zhao Qian Sun Li because the emperor's surname is Zhao, so Zhao became the first one. We also say 百姓, literally means 100 surnames that represent common people, ordinary people. There's one idiom called 百纳百川. The sea admits hundreds of rivers. 100 here, it doesn't mean exactly 100. That means many. So many rivers all the way to the sea. And that's awesome. It means all kinds of power and strength all accumulated together. And this is Li Jiacheng, Li Ka-cheng, the richest Chinese businessman from Hong Kong. In his office, there's one painting, 百纳百川. In terms of business concepts, the spirit of inclusiveness is beneficial for operating with different partners, widely absorbing resources such as talent, capital, and information. In the traditional Chinese feng shui theory, water was considered fortune, money. The running of the water current symbolizes the moving of the fortune, transaction of money. If we put it in a more worldly way, in traditional Chinese culture, water represents wealth. The sea admits hundreds of rivers, meaning that all the money flows into my pocket. When Chinese people get married, we always wish the couple 百年好合. Harmonious union lasts 100 years. We know most people don't live to 100 years old, but we just want to give them the best wishes. On this paper cutting, this symbol is double happiness, 双喜. And this round box is a gift for the emperor's wedding in the Qing dynasty. 盒子, the pronunciation is the same as 和, as homophony, also have a meaning of combine, unite. And 百合 is a name for lily. If people sneeze, in some country, people would say bless you. In the Middle Ages in Europe, people generally believed that sneezing would cause the soul to leave the body. Saying bless you is a way to pray for God to bless and keep the soul inside the body. In China, when kids or babies sneeze, we would say 100岁, 100 years. We wish the baby could live to 100 years, but only for baby or little kids. For adult, if it sneeze, we would say somebody said my bad names or somebody cursed me. We have idiom is 10年树木, 10 years grow wood, 百年树人, 100 years cultivate people. It emphasizes that education is a long-term, challenging, and far-reaching process. Here, this character 树, it means tree. But here is a verb, it also means grow, cultivate. We have two idioms coming from the story over 2,000 years ago. One is 百发百中, 100 shot, 100 hit. This is 中国中, but here for hit, it pronounced 中. Another one is 百步穿杨, 100 pace penetrate poplar. It's a story about an archer. Over 2,000 years ago, during the Warring States period, there was a famous archer named Yang Youji who was really good at shooting arrows. Once, he had an archery competition with others. They put a poplar leaf 100 paces away, and then he shot an arrow which hit the leaf right on the target. And he could always hit the target every time he shot. People around were all amazed. This idiom described that someone is extremely accurate in shooting arrows or guns and can hit the target every time. Another idiom is 百闻不如一见. Normally, Chinese idiom is 4 characters. 100 here, not be better than 1 see. Over 2,000 years ago in the Western Han Dynasty, when the Qiang minority invaded, the emperor asked the general how many troops he needed to surprise the invasion. The general said, it's better to see once than to hear 100 times. So he went to the border in person, conducted on-site investigation, successfully surprising the Qiang people's invasion. The meaning of this idiom is that it's better to see something with your own eyes once than to hear it 100 times, emphasizing the importance of the personal experience. On this AI-generated picture, this is a Great Wall of the Ming Dynasty, and this is a Great Wall from the Han Dynasty. The Chinese character is called a Hanzi. The majority of Chinese people is a Han nationality, and I'm a Han. We haven't learned the archipel inscription. Han is one horizontal stroke. I found another kind of writing. Here's a little branch, just like a half a letter H. So a man sitting on a cross. And here's a man symbolizing a centurion. 10 of them symbolize 1,000 soldiers. And that is 10,000. In South China, 2 hours driving from Shanghai, there's a garden city. It's called Suzhou. It's my favorite place. There's a lot of classical Chinese gardens. One temple garden is called Fuqiu, Tiger Hill. Because the terrain and the layout of the garden just like a tiger. Here's the tiger's mouth. The pagoda is the tiger's tail. Here's one inscription. We try to figure it out. Ancient Chinese read from right to left. So this is 人, people. And people sit on cross is 谦. This one is 2 people facing to each other. Sit on the ground. This is 坐. 姿卧坐. So 千人坐. 1,000 people sit. Seats for 1,000 people. Story goes like this. According to the legend, more than 2,000 years ago, a distinguished Buddhist monk once preaching Buddhist scriptures and doctrines here. 1,000 people sit on the rock to listen. To commemorate this grand occasion, this spot was named Seat for 1,000 people. And this inscription is 武丘剑池, Tiger Hill, Sword Pond. Over 2,000 years ago, after the king died, his son buried him right here. The new king was worried that the craftsmen who building the mausoleum will reveal the secrets of the mechanisms inside the tomb. So one night, he summoned over 1,000 craftsmen and asked them to drink on this large stone. When they were all drunk late at night, the new king ordered his soldiers to kill them all. There's another story for it 1,000 people seat. Later inside, the king's tomb was under the pond, and he was buried with 3,000 of swords. In 1978, people drank the water. They found the opening like the entrance of the tomb, but no one dared to enter it, and another sword was found. This is a 千, 1,000. And how about the capital form? Just put another soldier beside it. 千夫长. Here's a 1,000 Hong Kong dollar. You can see here is the 10,000. 千字文, 1,000-character classic, is an important Enlightenment reading material in ancient China. It was written over 1,500 years ago. It's a rhymed text composed of 1,000 Chinese characters. Its content covers many aspects such as nature, society, history, classics, and education. It has played a profound role in spreading knowledge and facilitating language learning. 私塾, it's a private school. 三字经, the three-character classic. 百家姓, 100 family surnames, and 千字文, 1,000-character classics. As we can see, for children's Enlightenment reading materials, the learning sequence is from 3 to 100 to 1,000, which is a step-by-step process. Personally, I really like to teach Chinese characters from the traditional way. But when I was born, there's a modern education. I will try my best. About 3,000 years ago in the Western Zhou dynasty, there was a governor-run school. It's called a 官学, official school. It was specially set up for the children of the nobility, and the main teaching content was the 6 arts, 六艺. We know that before. More than 2,500 years ago in the spring and autumn period, education was monopolized by the nobles, which was known as education only in official institutions. Around the age of 30, Confucius began to break this tradition by recruiting disciples and giving lectures, restarting the trend of private teaching. 有教无类, with the educational concept of providing education for all without discrimination. He widely accepted the disciples, and regardless of their origins, whether noble or humble, they could all receive his teachings. Confucius, who lived more than 2,000 years ago, could never have imagined that today's social media would overrun traditional education and truly achieve the goal of providing education for all without discrimination. 有教无类. 孔庙, Confucius Temple. There were over 1,800 Confucius temples all over China. Almost every major city and county, there's a Confucius temple. And this is the Confucius temple in Confucius' hometown, Qufu. In front of the main building, there's a stone platform. It's called a Xingtan, better called a platform. Inside, Confucius used to giving lectures here. This is the Confucius temple in Beijing. It was built over 700 years ago in the Yuan dynasty when Mongolians ruled China. On the left side, this is a Guozijian Imperial Academy. That is the official school. Confucianism emphasizes on benevolence. Another important concept is order, hierarchy. So even the Confucius temple in different places with different levels. The highest level is in Confucius' hometown, Qufu, in Shandong province. On the platform, there's 2 layers, and the one in Beijing is only 1-layer platform. In his hometown, outside the main hall, the stone columns are carved with the dragon, and the one in Beijing don't have this decoration. In his hometown, inside the building, is a statue of Confucius, and in Beijing is only the tablet. This kind of a double-eaved roof is the highest standard in the traditional Chinese architecture. It's called a 重檐五殿顶. It's only used on the emperor's office room, the throne hall in the Forbidden City, on the Supreme Ancestral Temple. That's where they store the tablets of the emperor's ancestors, or the emperor's tomb. Longest family tree in the world is the genealogy of the Confucius family. It has been passed down for more than 2,500 years since Confucius and records over 80 generations of descendants. The emperor in the Song dynasty over 800 years ago gave a Confucius descendant a title. The Confucius family has always been respected throughout the few dynasties. No matter who became the emperor, the special status of the Confucius family was maintained. In 1949, Hong Decheng, the 77th generation descendant of Confucius, fled to Taiwan with Chiang Kai-shek. In 1911, Sun Yat-sen launched a revolution overthrew the feudal dynasty in China. It's very ironic. The first president of Republic China, Yuan Shikai, restored to become emperor in 1916. In that year, he died in the curse of all the Chinese people. In 1917, the abdicated Emperor Puyi restored again. Confucianism is a tool for feudalism, and this plaque is in the Confucius Temple. It's a 万世师表, the teacher for all ages. It was hung in the Confucius Temple. In 1966, there's a campaign of smashing the four O's, refers to old ideology, old culture, old customs, and old habits. In 1974, there's a campaign of criticizing Confucius. On this picture is the Red Guards go to the Confucius Temple and burned the plaque. The Red Guards put slogans on Confucius' statue, 头号大混蛋, the number one bastard. And this picture is the Red Guards try to pour down the stone tablets. When I went to the Confucius Temple in Beijing, I can still find the ink stain on the stone tablet. 大千世界, big thousand world. 世界 world is a term from Buddhism. In Buddhism, it is said the Qumi mountain is the center of the world. It was surrounded by 4 continents, 9 mountains, and 8 seas, and this was considered one small world. 1,000 small world is a small thousand world. 1,000 small thousand world is a middle thousand world. 1,000 middle thousand world is a one big thousand world. It's like a tongue twister. This is a wordology of Buddhism. There's an idiom. It's called 千钧一发. 1,000 jun, one hair. That means in a nick of time, critical moment. Jun is a unit of weight in ancient China. 1 jun equals 15 kilograms. So tie the hair on the 1,000 jun's weight. The hair could break in any second. Another idiom is 千军万马. 1,000 army, 1,000 horse. There's a large number of troops, like the Terracotta Army, 兵马俑. There's about over 8,000 soldiers. 千里马. 1,000 li horse. Li is a unit of length equals half a kilometer. So 千里马 is the horse. In China, we have a story. Over 2,000 years ago, in the Warring States period, Bo Le was good at appraising horses. He could judge the quality of a horse by observing their appearance, bones, and their features. There was a 1,000 li horse. Although it was strong and vigorous, it was mistakenly regarded as an ordinary horse by its owner. It was often made to carry heavy loads and also whipped and cursed. Bo Le happened to see it by chance and immediately recognized its extraordinariness. He bought it at a high price. After Bo Le took good care of it, the 1,000 li horse regained its luster. When Bo Le rode it, it ran as fast as the wind and fully demonstrated its ability to travel 1,000 li a day. The story implies that those who can recognize talents like Bo Le are of crucial importance to those with talent but not yet discovered, like the 1,000 li horse. It emphasizes the significance of discovering and making good use of the talents. Bo Le is just like a talent scout or headhunter. So we have a saying, 千里马常有,而伯乐不常有. Horse horses are frequently available, yet those who can spot them like Bo Le are seldom seen. That reminds me of my favorite singer, Celine Dion. She was discovered by her husband, and her story will explain the 千里马 and 伯乐. In Chinese mythology, there's one character, it's called 千里眼, 1,000 li eye. In Sichuan, there's one site of an ancient civilization. It's called 三星堆, 3-star pile. On the bronze mask, there's a vertical eyes. In feudal dynasty, the emperor's birthday is called 千秋, 1,000 autumns. If you switch these two characters, 秋千, that means the swing. There's a kind of snack in China, it's called 千人糕, 1,000 people cake. Even a piece of rice cake that needs 1,000 people's hard work, from washing rice, grinding to powder, steamed rice, pounded cake, air-dried cake, and cut cake. It teaches cherish the food and respect the work of other people. There's so many idioms started with 千, 1,000, and they were used together with other numbers like 一, 100, and 1, 10,000. These numbers here are not the precise number, they just mean many. 千, 千, 1,000. Another idiom, 陈蔡之恶, is not popular, but it tells the story of Confucius. When Confucius was traveling around the various states with his disciples, they got entrapped in the area between the state of Chen and Cai. Confucius and his students ran out of food of supplies, and many disciples were so hungry that they could hardly stand up. However, Confucius still continued to lecture, play music, and sing without any sign of decline, demonstrating his resilience and the persistent pursuit of the great Tao. And what would Jesus do? Jesus would feed 1,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. From this story, there's another idiom, 君子固穷, gentlemen adhere to poverty. A man of virtue adheres to his principles even in poverty. Okay, let's relax and have some fun. Before I tell you the joke, I need to explain what is a yuanxiao or tangyuan. It was a round dumpling made of sticky rice and stuffing inside. Normally it's sweet, like black sesame, peanut, sweet beans. It's a traditional Chinese food we'll eat during the Lantern Festival, 15th of January lunar calendar. As I mentioned before, the first president of Republic of China, Yuan Shikai, he restored and became emperor. So Chinese people all hate him and cursed him. And he thought Yuan Xiao, his surname is Yuan Xiao, same pronunciation as disappear. So Yuan Xiao, also like Chinese people want him disappear. So he changed the name Huang Yuan, soup round. We don't know if it's true, because in North China, usually we eat yuan xiao. People put the stuffing in the sticky rice powder in the basket and rock it, just like snowball. It becomes bigger and bigger. Hang yuan is popular in South China. People just use the sticky rice dough, wrap the stuffing, and make a round ball. Okay, here comes the joke. When Confucius was entrapped in Chen and Cai, running out of food, Confucius only got 1 copper coin. He bring his students to a local yuanxiao store, and he saw the price list, 1文钱一个. 1 cent for 1 sticky round dumpling, yuanxiao. Then Confucius took out his brush. He make a horizontal stroke on the 1, make it a 10. 1文钱10个. 1 cent for 10. And he and his students go inside. They ordered 10 yuanxiao. After they finished, Confucius left 1 cent on the table and want to leave. A servant stopped him and said, you need to pay 9 more cents. Confucius said, you said it's 1 cent for 10. When they got outside, the waiter was shocked. It became 1 cent for 10. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Confucius said, you guys should respect the intellectuals. I showed you some mercy. Otherwise, I will put a left stroke on the top, make it 1 cent for 1,000. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the joke. 一时是一时，百千千。Did you get it? Lesson 5, 10,000 scorpion. That's the last number we would learn. So I would put more Chinese culture and other factors in this lesson. In China, there's one important traditional festival. It's called 端午节. In English, it's translated to the Dragon Boat Festival, 龙舟节. Because on this day, people would organize the dragon boat race. Many teams would row brightly colored dragon boats to compete in rivers, lakes, and seas. In some water towns in South China, such as Guangdong and Fujian provinces, a large number of people would gather on both sides of the riverside to cheer for the competition teams. It's extremely spectacular, but we don't say Dragon Boat Festival. We would say 端午节. And what is 端? 端, it means begin. A line segment has 2 endpoints. We call it 端点. So 端is the end, and also it's begin. This is a commonly used character. We'll learn this character in the future. You see, on the 端午节 Dragon Boat Festival, we'll eat a special food. I'll tell you later. 午 means noon. So 上午 forenoon, 中午 noon, 下午 afternoon. 端午 I pronounced the 午 same as number 5. We have learned 5. It has meaning of a cross intersection. So 端午 is the beginning of May. In traditional Chinese calendar system, 天干地支, heavenly stems and earthly branches, is the traditional Chinese calendar. It's a way to count years, months, days, and hours in ancient China. Originating from the observation of a celestial phenomena in ancient times, traditional Chinese calendar system was based on combination of the heavenly stems and earthly branches. There are 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches. They are put together one after another to make 60 basic groups. It contains rich cultural connotations reflecting the ancient people's profound understanding and a wise summary of astronomy, calendar, time, and natural laws. So we can see on the sundial, this character Wu was in the middle. If the shadow of the needle pointing to this character, that means it's noon. The beginning of the heavenly stems and earthly branches, the number one of the combination is 甲子. When it's 60 finished one circle, it will begin with another 甲子. So 60 years in ancient China, we call it one 甲子. It's very complicated. So today we also use the Christian era. In the Forbidden City, there's one beautiful porcelain. It's a revolving vase. It's a permanent calendar of the emperor. The top part, there's 10 family stems. The bottom part is 12 earthly branches. The family stem is like a smaller gear with 10 cogs. Earthly branches is a bigger gear with 12 cogs. When they combine the 60 times, that means 60 years, it will start over. For example, 1840 is the year of Gengzi. That year broke the First Opium War, 鸦片战争 Opium War. And that year is the year of a mouse. It's a little bit complicated for the calculation method. I learned English by myself, but my mathematics are horrible. So I will try my best to see if you can understand it. We call it the heavenly stems and earthly branches chronological method. The calculation divided two parts. First, we will calculate the heavenly stems. Let's use the remainder obtained by the subtracting 3 from the year number and then dividing by 10, which corresponds to the family stems. 1860 minus 3. So this calculation, the remainder is 7. Number 7 on the heavenly stems is Geng. And later we calculate the earthly branches. Earthly branches is to use the remainder obtained by subtracting 3 from the year number and then dividing by 12, which corresponds to the earthly branch. And this remainder is 9. So 9 corresponding to Shen. So the Second Opium War, 1860, is the year of Gengshen. In 1894, the Sino-Japanese War broke out. But we don't say 中日战争, we say 甲午战争. It's the year of 甲午. And this is Empress Dowager Cixi. 1860, Anglo-French forces invaded Beijing. The emperor and royal family fled away to a summer resort northeast of Beijing, 300 kilometers. When the emperor died there in 1861, the Empress Dowager Cixi and Prince Gong, they made a coup. It's called the 金有政变, coup of 1861. Since then, Empress Dowager Cixi controlled China until 1908. We call her Dragon Lady. And when her only son died in 19, she put her nephew on the throne, become another emperor. It's Emperor Guangxu. Since we lost the war fight against the Japanese, the emperor think the biggest problem in China is the system. So they want to learn from Japan, make a reform. In 1898, the emperor make a reform movement. It's called 戊戌变法. That's the year of Wu Xu. And we came to 1900. It's another Gengzi year. In that year, it happened the Boxers' Rebellion, 义和团运动. It's also called 庚子国变, Gengzi National Catastrophe. The catastrophe refers to the Boxers' Rebellion and also the Eight Allied Forces invasion. The Boxers is a 义和团, and we can see this is the flag. And 义 is the traditional Chinese, and also 团. And this is manifesto of the Boxers. 男练义和团, men practice with the Boxers. 女练红灯照, women practice with Red Lantern Society. 砍倒电线杆, cut down the telegraph poles. 扒了火车道, tear up the railway tracks. 烧了毛子楼, burn the buildings of foreigners. 灭了耶稣教, eliminate the Christian religion. 杀了东洋鬼, kill the Japanese devils. 再跟大清闹, and then take on the Qing government. So this is rebellion against the foreign invasion and also the Chinese government. This is a conflict between the Western religion and the Chinese local folk religion. It's a very interesting history. Personally, I'm a Christian, but I'm also Chinese. I'll tell you my understanding of the Boxer Rebellion in the future. After being defeated in the war, the Qing government was forced to sign the Boxers Protocol in 1901, 金丑条约. Regarding the huge indemnity in silver, the Qing government was required to pay an indemnity of 450 million taels of silver, so 庚子赔款, Boxer's indemnity, which was to be paid off in 39 years. The total amount of principal and interest amounted to 980 million taels of silver, and it had a far-reaching impact on China's economy and society. The Boxer Protocol was a symbol of China's semi-colony and semi-feudal status. 450 million taels of silver that coincidentally matched the number of the population in China, 4.5 million people. So that equals one person, one tael of silver. Tael, 两. Today, we still use this unit in the grocery store and the market. So in 1908, that's the year of Wu Shen. The Emperor Dowager Cixi and the Emperor Guangxu died the same year. The emperor just died one day before the dragon lady died. So people say the emperor was poisoned because the dragon lady was afraid the emperor would take a reform. So see, almost at the end of the Qing dynasty, Chinese people still keep the kill. And this coffin was carried by 128 carriers. So Empress Dowager Cixi, the dragon lady, she was a tough cookie. People are afraid of her. So when she died, that's almost the end of the Qing dynasty. I'll tell you one story, and you can see this is the coffin of the dragon lady. Some jade miner in western China, they were ordered to quarry the jade stone to make a platform to hold this wooden coffin in her tomb. But when the jade miner got the news dragon lady had died, there's nothing they're afraid of. So they smashed the jade stone into pieces. In 1911, the revolution broke out, finished the Qing dynasty. We call it Qinhai Geming. And this is Dr. Sun Yat-sen. The funny thing is, I just realized behind the flags, there's one portrait. I couldn't recognize this small script. It looked like the portrait, the face, just like the founder of the Ming Dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang, because he was the Han people. Manchurian is a minority from northeast China, so Republic of China want to get rid of the Manchurian. This picture is the government of Republic of China founded the capital in Nanjing. In 1912, the last emperor Puyi abdicated. China entered a new era, Republic of China. Over 2,000 years of feudal history finished in China, but most of the Chinese people are still suffering. On May 4th, 1919, students in Beijing launched a large-scale demonstration. They protested against the failure of China's diplomacy at the Paris Peace Conference. Students in Beijing carried out a general strike. The movement quickly spread throughout the country. When China entered the Republic of China in 1915, there's one movement called the New Cultural Movement. The traditional chronological method is not popular anymore. So 1919, that year is 己未年, but we don't use it. We would say 五四运动, May 4th movement. We just use the month and date to mark the movement. It's easier, but we don't know which year it happened. We just talk about the chronological calendar in ancient China, 天干地支, heavenly stems, and the earthly branches. Let's go back to our Dragon Boat Festival. So on the 端午节, we not only rolling the dragon boat, we'll also eat a kind of traditional Chinese food. On that day, every family will eat 粽子, sticky rice dumpling. We used to leave the wrapped sticky rice with bean paste, salted egg yolk, or cooked pork. We do all this is in memory of Xu Yuan. He was a court official and a poet in the state of Chu during the Warring States period, and he was loyal to the king and patriotic, but was slandered by villains and exiled by the king. After the capital was captured, Xu Yuan filled his grave and committed suicide by jumping into the river, expressing his noble aspiration with his life. The Chinese people prevented fish and shrimp from eating his body. They threw the zongzi, sticky rice dumpling, into the river and rowed boats to search for his body. So gradually, the custom of eating zongzi and holding dragon boat races during the Dragon Boat Festival came into being. Li Sao is a long patriotic lyric poem created by Qu Yuan. The Dragon Boat Festival, we call it 端午节, also known as 五月节, the festival of May. From the perspective of traditional Chinese culture, the May of a lunar calendar is an evil month. But day 5 is also an evil day. Duanwu, the beginning of May, is thus the change between the spring and the summer. The weather is getting warm, and the poisonous insects and the snakes are active. It's dangerous for people, and we call them Wu Du, 5 poison, and they were gecko, toad, centipede, scorpion, and snake. In North China, on the Dragon Boat Festival, we would also eat Wu Du Bing, 5 poison cake. It's just a cake made of wheat flour, and people put rose petal, sugar, and honey in the stuffing. On top, they will press the pattern of the 5 poison, just to remind people of the poison animal and the insects. People not only eat the zongzi, sticky rice dumpling, and also they would drink the Riaga wine. And also they will put a kind of herb, mugwort, on the door frame. That's to keep away of the 5 poison. In China, there's the idiom 以毒攻毒, fight poison with poison. It's also a theory of a traditional Chinese medicine. In China, we say 治药三分毒. As long as the medicine, 30% is poisonous. It doesn't matter traditional Chinese medicine or Western medicine, all medicine are poisonous. I will tell you a story of a traditional Chinese medicine fight poison with poison. According to the history, that in the early Qing dynasty, about 300 years ago, a doctor in Anhui had a way to treat smallpox. He would take the pox fluid from children suffering from the smallpox, store it in a special small bottle, and bury the bottle in the ground. When it's time to use it, he would dilute the stored pox fluid and use it to dye the clothes, and then let the children wear the clothes. After wearing the clothes for 3 days, smallpox rash would sprout all over the children's body. The smallpox would gradually shrink, and the child would recover. I remember when my younger brother was 5 years old, he got a skin disease. My mom got some traditional Chinese medicine for him, and in the medicine, there's a skin of a cicada. Mom tell me, don't tell him. Let's take a look of the archival inscription and the bronze inscription. They were just like a scorpion. In the early days, people lived in a pit hut. This site is a remain of the hut over 6,000 years ago in southwest China. And here is the door, and this is a stove. It's very easy to encounter a scorpion. Scorpion is a highly productive insect. You can see here's all the baby scorpions. So ancient Chinese use a scorpion as a 10,000. One. Sounds like English number 1. We take a look of the small script. The bottom part, just like a tool for capture the scorpion, or you can imagine it's like a man, he crouching down after the scorpion. Along the reaches of the Yellow River, there's a yellow earth plateau. So some people lived in Yifeng Yuan, 40-yard style sunken cave dwellings, or Yaodong cave dwellings. When Buddhism spread to China, Chinese people start to build Zhiku Si, Roto Temple. You can see this cave and the window for lighting that was influenced by the cave dwelling. China is an agricultural country. Land is very important for Chinese people. Not only we farming, but also we live on the ground. So our culture also influenced by the early civilization. This character is pronounced Chai. You don't need to remember this character. It's a rare character. On top part is a 1, 10,000. The bottom part is a Hong, worm, insect. So this character, it means a kind of a scorpion. Since the original character of scorpion 1 was borrowed to become the number 10,000, which is the scorpion, it's a xie. Let's break it down. On the left side, this character is Hong, 是蚊虫, means insects, worms, bugs. The early characters, they were just like a worm, and one kind of bronze inscription is like a snake. Because ancient Chinese, the snake was also called Changzong, lungworm. It is a radical related to the character of insects. We call it Hong Zi Bian, worm side. If you look at these characters, Qiu Qi, Jie, Jicao, you don't need to remember those characters. They're not frequently used. But each one, there's a worm radical on the left side. The right part symbolizes pronunciation. All these 3 words symbolize this kind of a worm. Originally, that is Jie. Since scorpion became 10,000, people use this worm similar as a scorpion. Let's break it down further. The right part is pronounced he, he. If you learn some Chinese character, you know he, drink. There's a mouse on the left side, so the right part symbolizes the pronunciation. In ancient Chinese classics, Zhijing Book of Songs, the character he means why, what, where. There's two parts. We can break it down further. On the top is sun, 日. If the sun on the top of the character, we call it 日字头. If on the bottom, we call it 日字底. Normally, it's on the left side, we call it 日字旁, sun side. In article punctuation, in the center, there's one stroke, that is a roll. In 1972, in South China Hunan province, people activated a tomb of a noble woman. She lived 2,020 years ago in the Han Dynasty. Her name is Xin Zhui, and she's a mummy. That's a picture people restored, and this is her big wood coffin. Inside the coffin, there's a silk clothes. It depicts the hell, the human world, and the paradise. And you can see here's the sun and the black frog inside the sun. In the early days, the Chinese people recognized the sunspot in the sun. The bottom part is a guy. The early characters was just like one hand gave a thing to another hand. In small script, it's just like a beggar sit over there and holding a basket, begging for the thing. This one is popular. It's a holograph guy, guy, bag. So he, this character is on the top. There's a sun. On the bottom is a man sit over there holding a basin, expecting people give him something. So this character is one man sit under the sun. Why he was there? What is he doing? Where does he come from? We put the 虫 radical and the 和 together. We have 蝎, scorpion. These characters under the sun. There's a beggar sit over there. He was expecting something, nothing but a scorpion. So we have to work very hard. And this is a movie, Scorpion King, 蝎子王. In China, we have very popular dish. It's called 羊蝎子, lamb spine. I have to tell you, Chinese people, we don't waste food because in ancient times or even back in the 60s, people are starving. So we eat almost everything. Lamb spine is popular in Beijing. The shape of spine of the lamb is just like a scorpion. Some people even import the lamb spine from New Zealand. No one eats them there. There's no cost, only the shipping. In the early characters, there are different writings for 1 and 1,000. Like this one, a scorpion on top, there's a fork control the tail. On the bottom is the 土, earth, because scorpion was always running around on the earth. And this one, scorpion on the top, on the left side is a trail, and on the bottom is the people who walk on the trail. They use a fork to control the scorpion. Now you can count how many strokes in this digital character. Altogether, there's 13 strokes. How many strokes after simplified? It's only 1, 2, 3. In article inscription, it's like a man standing under the heaven, and another character, Tian, heaven. It's like a man standing front side under the heaven, and this one is like a profile. But when it evolved to the small script, it's become more complicated. And this character is just above the man, there's a flower. I just found one bronze figure. It's a servant holding one umbrella. In ancient China, those figures are funerary objects buried in the tomb with the master, including the terracotta army. The small script, this character pronounced 冕, 莫言冕. You don't need to remember this character because it is that character. It means block. On this picture, it's like the servant holding an umbrella block the sun for the master. It's very similar to guy, bag, but guy is a popular one. And what's the connection between block and 10,000? Ancient Chinese, when they created the characters, each character makes sense. But over 3,000 years passed, some characters changed a lot. A lot of information are gone. So we can only use our imagination seeking the truth. Because 1,000 years passed, our human nature never changed. What kind of thing? There's 10,000s of them It could block out the sky and the sun. The sandstorm or locust plague. It reminds me of the movie 300. When the person archery shooting arrows at the Sparta warriors, the arrows blocked the sun. In China, we have one idiom. It's called 万箭齐发. 1,000 arrows simultaneously shoot like this. Okay, let's take a look at this character. A scorpion under a cliff. Okay, let's break it down. This character is pronounced 长, 自然长. It has another pronunciation, but not important. The most popular one is 长. It means the rocks on the cliff protruding over the area where people could live. It's also radical. We call it 厂字旁, factory side. 厂, 制糖厂, factory workshop. In the 1950s, during the Cold War, the former Soviet Union helped China to build some factories that were designed by Eastern Germany. It's called the Bauhaus-style factory. The glass window was on this side. The sunshine would go in this way. So this is like this character. 厂, 工厂, 歌翁工, 制糖厂, factory, plant, works, mill. There's a lot of characters with the radical 厂 factory side. There's a 听, oh, 力 experience, 压 press, 厌 hate, 侧 bathroom, 后 seek, 原 original, 图 kitchen. So this is a character under the cliff where people lived. Use a fork to catch a scorpion. That's awesome. It's a severe, serious matter. So when you're camping outdoor under the cliff, outside the tent, there's a scorpion. And this is a very severe and serious thing. 力, 乐意力. Even this character was simplified, but you can still imagine this part is stinger of the scorpion. 厉害, 乐意力, 和蔼害, amazing, incredible, awesome, impressive, terrific. 你好厉害, you're awesome. Let's take a look at this bronze character. The bottom part is 1 foot, and this is a road, and this is scorpion, and this is a stick. For people walking on the road and use a stick to control the scorpion. On Smallscale script, the left part of the character in Archibald instruction is like this. A foot walking on a crossroad. It pronounced 错, 错, 错. It means walk, stroll, run. The Smallscale script of the character have an holograph is 引, 引. That means extend, prolong, long distance walking. So this is like a zigzag road. People need a long walk. So 引 is also radical. We call it 走之旁, walking zigzag side. It's very popular radical. There's a 进, 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 enter. 退, 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 withdraw. 远, 一远, 远, far. 近, 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 near. 迎, 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 welcome. 送, 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 see off. 追, 追为追, chase. 逃, 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 flee. When we're driving outside on the road, our goal is to reach the destination, not to catch scorpions. So when we encounter a scorpion on the road, the best way is to step over. So this character is 迈, 迈, 迈. It means a step, stride, pace. If we make some words with 迈, 豪迈, heroic. When we see a scorpion, we're not scared. It cannot stop us. So we need to be like a hero. Make a big step across over the scorpion, heading to our destination. You see, 豪, hero. Another word, 年迈, aged. 年 is year, age. When people are aged, they cannot easily step over a scorpion. Another one, 老迈, elderly. 老 is old, same as 年迈. When people are getting old, they cannot easily step over a scorpion. Chinese characters are symbols. We found this symbol on the pottery over 5,000 years ago in China. It was also on the porcelain, on the silk fabric, even on the traditional Chinese architecture. And what does that mean? This symbol appeared in ancient India, Persia, Greece, and other regions. In ancient India, it was initially as a religious symbol and was regarded as a symbol of the sun or fire, representing light, auspiciousness, and good luck. I don't know its exactly pronunciation, swastika. Over 2,000 years ago, Buddhism spread to China from India, and 1,300 years ago, during the Tang Dynasty, the only female emperor in the whole history of China, Wu Zetian, she gave this character one pronunciation. It's Wan, Wan, Wan. It is the auspicious sign recognized as being on the chest of a Buddha. In the early stages of Buddhism, these two characters mean the same, but when Buddhism spread to China, many people give them different meaning. This one's clockwise. People believed it symbolizes orthodoxy. This symbol is people think is dark, destructive. In 1920s, the Nazis used this symbol, but they turned it 45 degrees. One day when I was walking on the roadside, I found some green millets in the shape of the character 1. Suddenly I realized it's some Buddhism believers feed the bird. And this become very popular. Buddhism believers, they will go to the bird market, they buy some birds and set them free. They also bought some red-eared slider. We call them Basigui, Brazilian turtle. It's an invasive species and set them free. Other people even bought some poisonous snake and released them in the mountains. It reminds me of the words in the Bible. Scribes and the Pharisees, Hippocrates. It doesn't matter which kind of religion. The religion is a tool. The faith in your heart is the most important. One, 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 10,000. You can see here on the check, even this 10,000 is simplified. But when we play mahjong, we still use this traditional Chinese character. In the Yuanmingyuan Garden, it's also known as the Old Summer Palace. There's a one architecture. It's called Wan Fang An He, 10,000 direction, peace and harmony. This building was surrounded by lake on four sides, so the emperor would go there in summer. It's very cool. Because the ruler Manchurian, they believed in Buddhism, so this garden was burned down by the Anglo-French forces in 1860 during the Second Opium War. You still remember this emperor's revolving vase? They use heavenly stems and earthly branches, make a combination to calculate the calendar. It's called a 万年历. Okay, and this is a 1000. Did you get it? Hi everyone. Today we will learn Kun Spring. In oracle inscription, bronze inscription, and small script, even modern Chinese character, there's a sun in this character, 日. As I mentioned before, archibald inscription was carved on tortoise shell and ox blade bones. It's easier to carve a straight line than a circle, but nothing is absolute. These are all 日, sun in different writings of archibald inscription. So when we learn Chinese characters, we shouldn't be rigid, but flexible. In this world, it's not just black and white. So the character of sun, 日, it doesn't have to be square or round, or even a diamond shape. 日, 日一日. When we see the sun rise from east, set from west, that is one day. So it means a day, sun, date. This character is also radical. It's very commonly used. We call it a 日字旁, sun side. Most of the cases, the sun was on the left. For example, 晚, late. When it's on the top, we call it a 日字头, sun head. If it's on bottom, we call it a 日字底, the sun bottom. Like a 旮旯, nice sun, sun night. It means corner. We'll research these characters in the future. And why there's one horizontal stroke in the square? Because ancient Chinese people believe that there's a black claw inside the sun. And what's that? In China, there's one ancient book. It's called Hou Han Shu, the Book of Later Han. It records many historical events of the Eastern Han Dynasty. I wrote 和平元年, that was 28 BC. 日出黄，有黑气，大如钱，居中央. When the sun rose, it was yellow, and there was a black spot as big as a coin in the center of the sun. And another earlier book is called 淮南子. It said there's a three-legged black troll inside the sun. That was the earliest record of the black spot of the sun in the world. So this horizontal stroke in the sun is the black spot. 春, 春, spring, the first season of the year. Spring is a time when the sun is warm and rainfall is abundant. The earth revives, plants sprout, and everything takes on a new look. China is an agricultural country. Spring was crucial as it was the season for sowing, so spring is very important. And here's the sun, and these are the grass. Let's learn the grass next. This character pronounced 草, 草, or 撤. It's like when I learn English, you don't need to remember every word, only remember the commonly used word. But there's one radical you have to remember. This character pronounced 草, 草, but normally we use as a radical 草字头, grass head. There's so many characters with the grass head, like 花, flower, 草, grass, 茶, tea, 药, medicine. Because in ancient China, we use herbal medicine. 蓝, blue. The blue color dye comes from grass. And 苗, seedling. 苹, 苹果for apple. If you can't remember this grass head, I will teach you 30 words. 草. The pronunciation is very similar to the F word in Chinese. It's homophony. Sometimes when we type Chinese characters, especially when we chat on WeChat, if we just type one grass head, that means the F word. Okay, do you remember this grass head? It's important. Let's go back to the character spring. We learned the sun, 日, the grass, 草, and what's this red part? Let's break it down. In Archibald inscription, this character is like a plumule, same as the bronze inscription, but it's also like a hummingbird. We take a look at the small script, the horizontal stroke on the top, like the ground. The seeds sprout, just like a weightlifter, pushing through the earth. Another pronunciation is 尊, zhiwen. That means difficult, but it's not popular. The popular pronunciation is 屯, 柯文屯. Before the seedling coming out from the ground, it accumulates strength. So its original meaning is stockpile. It means village, station. 屯兵, 柯文屯, 火营兵, station troops. In ancient China, in order to prevent the Mongolians, a lot of soldiers were deployed along the Great Wall. 屯兵, station troops, that means there's more and more soldiers. 屯子, 柯文屯, 子一子, that means village. When more and more soldiers stationed at the Great Wall, village emerged. But this is slang from northeast China. If you say 屯子, people would know you come from northeast China. In ancient China, we don't have this weight of unit 吨, 德文吨, ton. But you can imagine this character is like a weightlifter on the right. On the left side, there's a mouse, so he's yelling 吨, 德文吨, ton. Winter has passed and spring has come. The weather becomes warmer and the temperature goes up. Then the seeds start to sprout. So spring, 春, the pronunciations come from 浑. In Archibald inscription, seeds sprout, take in the energy from the sun, then grow into plants. And we can also use our imagination. In the bronze inscription and the small scale script, the seedling 屯 is also like a plow. China is an ancient agricultural country. Spring is very important for sowing. I found one transition character from small scale script to modern character. The top part is like a 土, earth, soil. The left and right is two grasses. On the bottom is the sun. So the modern character, the top part is like 三人, three person. On the bottom is the sun, 日. So you can break down this character to three person sun. So 三人 put together is just like the plow. I have three ways to remember this character 春, spring. Number one, the sun on the bottom makes the spring warm. The seeds sprout, grow to grass. Number two, the sun is rising on the grass. Spring has come. The farmers should plow the land. And number three, 春节, Spring Festival, the Chinese New Year, is the most important holiday in China. During the Spring Festival, lots of people will go to the temple pray for make a fortune in the new year. And you can imagine the top part is the traditional Chinese wooden architecture, and the sun Ri is like a copper coin. And during Chinese New Year, people always wish to each other 恭喜发财, wish you make a fortune. Then, how can we determine spring? More than 2,500 years ago, during the spring and autumn period, ancient Chinese people already used a method called 土龟, Earth's gnomon, to measure the length of the sun's shadow, to determine the 4 seasons and the length of a year. This pillar is called biao, and the bottom part is called gui, hu gui. You can see the character gui was piled up of two character hu, earth. We'll study them in the future. This is a real instrument in the ancient observatory in Beijing. In China, we have 24 solar terms, 24节气. Around 3,000 years ago, during the Western Zhou dynasty, the spring equinox, autumn equinox, summer solstice, and winter solstice have already emerged. These were the first 4 solar terms to be determined. Later, the beginning of the spring, the beginning of the summer, beginning of autumn, and the beginning of winter were established. These 8 solar terms form the basic framework of the 24 solar terms. China is an agricultural country, and the 24 solar terms are an important basis for guiding agricultural production. They reflect the laws of change in seasons, climate. Farmers arrange their farming activities according to the solar terms. Traditional Chinese medicine believes that during these 8 solar terms, yin and yang energies in the human body separate and combine. They are quite unstable, especially the vulnerable elders. These 8 solar terms are when the seasons changed. The weather changed a lot during these times. Old people's body doesn't work as well as they used to. This can put extra stress on their organs and make their health problems worse. Especially in winter, the cold weakens old people's ability to fight against germs in their breathing systems, so they often get sick. The cold makes their blood vessels shrink, which can lead to heart and brain problems. According to the survey, at these 8 solar terms, the death rate is higher than regular. I remember when I was a child, I would catch cold every time when the season changed. In fact, because it's the change of the weather, the transformation of the yin and yang in nature leads to change in temperature. Meanwhile, the yin and yang within our bodies also undergo changes in separation and combination. So in ancient China, torture of criminals were not carried out during these 8 solar terms for consideration of their health. By the way, traditional Chinese medicine has a history of at least over 5,000 years. In the Chinese legend, it said Shen Nong. In order to help people to find the medical herbs for treating disease, he tasted all kinds of herbs to identify their medical properties. He was poisoned several times a day and relied on tea to detoxify, which is why Chinese people have the habit of drinking tea. Cha, cha, tea. The main reason why traditional Chinese herbal medicine cannot be promoted worldwide is that it fails to obtain approval from the FDAs of various countries. To be honest, with globalization, China has changed tremendously. In ancient times, herbs were collected from the wild. After thousands of years, some have become extinct. Nowadays, most herbs are cultivated, so use chemical fertilizers and pesticides is inevitable, which reduce their medical power. Before Western medicine entered China, traditional Chinese medicine was our only option. It had accumulated thousands of years of experience. In 221 BC, even Emperor Qin Shi Huang unified China. He burned books. Medical and agricultural books were preserved. In ancient times, doctors learned traditional Chinese medicine from a master. Today, the TCM doctors were mostly trained in school, and the medical education followed the Western methods. It's just like the westernization of the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. So in China, we have one interesting phenomenon: seeking Western medicine first when getting sick, and then turning to Chinese medicine if Western medicine fails. With the impact of Western medicine, Chinese people have become increasingly less confident in our own medicine. As a result, many legendary medical skills have been lost. In this way, traditional Chinese medicine has entered a vicious circle. I just want to tell you one interesting story before we come back to spring. In 1693, Emperor Kangxi got malaria. The royal doctors tried to treat him with the Chinese medicine, but it didn't work. Then a French missionary offered quinine to the royal court. Because it was a Western medicine, the imperial court first let some malaria patients try it. After seeing their conditions get better, Emperor Kangxi took the medicine. He got better that afternoon, and the emperor fully recovered in a few days. To show his thanks, the emperor gave the missionary a piece of land in the imperial city. In 1703, the missionary built a Catholic church there. The Emperor Kangxi wrote, 万有真源, the true source of all things, that is God. It became a witness of a cultural exchange between China and the West. The church in the photo was relocated to another place in 1887. The reason was that the Empress Dowager Cixi thought the church was too close to the imperial palace. Later in 1900, the Boxers' Rebellion broke out, and this church was besieged. From this church, we can see that initially, Western religion had little influence on Chinese society. However, with the continuous construction of churches in China, Western religions touched the bottom line of the local Chinese beliefs, ultimately leading to the outbreak of the Boxers' Rebellion. At that time, there were more than 3,200 Chinese believers taking refuge in this church, which shows the influence of Western religions in China. In China, there's 6 solar terms in each season, so totally there's 24 solar terms. In the spring, there's Li Chun, the beginning of spring, and Chun Fen, the spring equinox. The beginning of spring usually falls on February 3rd, 4th, or 5th every year. It marks the start of the spring, and all things come back to life. The spring equinox it usually comes on the March 20th or 21st. The sun shines directly on the equator, resulting in equal day and night, dividing spring into 2 equal parts. When the emperor of the Ming Dynasty built Beijing in 1420, there was one imperial observatory on the east city wall. It's called Qintianjian, and today we call it Ancient Observatory, 古观象台. It was used for astronomical observation, lunar calendar formulation, and the selection of auspicious days for major events such as imperial sacrifices, funerals, and weddings. In order to comply with the antiquated system of a feudal dynasty and maintain the authority and dignity of the imperial family. This photo was taken in 1909, and you can still see the city wall, but now it's gone. It is said that on the day of the beginning of spring, officials from the Imperial Observatory would make a hollow earth ox and place chicken feathers inside its belly. As the young energy rose, the chicken feather would float upwards, and that very moment was the exact time of beginning of the spring. Only when the young energy is strong at the beginning of the spring, people can fly kites. Otherwise, the kites won't fly. In 1900, the Boxers' Rebellion broke out. The 8 Allied forces invaded Beijing. The German soldiers took the instrument to Germany and placed them in the Royal Garden. After World War I, at the Paris Peace Conference, China, as one of the victorious countries, got the astronomical instrument back. Let's form some words with the capital Chun, spring. 春天, springtime. Spring is really important for agriculture. And 春节, spring festival, Chinese New Year, is the most important festival in China. 春风, spring breeze. We can fly kite in spring breeze. 春茶, spring tea. The tender tea leaves in spring taste really good. There's the idioms 春光明媚. The spring sunlight is bright and charming. Another one is 春暖花开. Literally means spring warm, flower blossom. In spring, the climate warms up and the flowers are in full blossom. 春色满园. The garden is filled with the beauty of spring. Literally, is spring color fill the garden. 乌木逢春. Revive like a withered tree in spring. This one is 中国盆景, Chinese 盆景. 盆 means pot, 景 means view. This one is 日本盆栽, Japanese bonsai. 盆 is pot, 栽 is a plant. So Chinese is a pot view, Japanese is a pot plant. Chinese penjing combines multiple elements such as rocks, water, and plants to create miniature landscapes. It combines Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, emphasizes on natural harmony the combination of a heaven and man. The Japanese bonsai emphasize on the beauty of a single tree. The name of this penjing is called Mu Feng Chun, revived like a wizard tree in spring. The green leaves that just come out from a wizard tree. The two rocks under the tree, just like an old man teaching a little boy. It's like without the right guidance, the boy is just like a wizard tree. When he gets the right education, he's just like obtaining his second life. 春回大地, spring is coming back. Literally, it's a spring return to big earth. The weeping willows are sprouting, apricot flower blossom, the swallows come back. Spring is back. Every spring, the Swift will visit Beijing, and Beijing people love swallows. And we use the bamboo and paper to make a swallow-shaped kite. This style is called the Old Beijing Shayan Fengzheng. I don't know why it's called the sand swallow kite. Maybe in the spring sandstorm, the sand would come with the swallow. But right now, the kids, they don't make kite. They just buy the cheap plastic kite. Another idiom is 妙手回春. Marvelous hand bring back spring. Normally, when we see the traditional Chinese medicine doctor, the doctor cure your disease and save your life, and we would say 妙手回春, bring a patient back to life with a highly skilled medical treatment. Another idiom is 一年之计在于春，一日之计在于晨。One year's plan is at spring. One day's plan is in the morning. We can see spring and the morning both have the sun, one on the bottom, the other one on the top. It's all related to sun. China is an ancient agricultural country. Spring is a crucial time for planning of the farming. One day begins in the morning. If you want to do something, you better plan in the morning. 春天的故事 The story of spring. In 1950s and 60s, China undergone a great leap forward, People's Commune, and the Cultural Revolution. It was a dark time in China, like a vast and cold winter. People suffered a lot. It was not until 1978 Deng Xiaoping took the policy of reform and opening up, and then spring arrived in China. I was born in 1978 and have witnessed the reform and opening up with my own eyes. And also I learned English, which was impossible for people of my father's generation. Now I teach Chinese characters in English, spreading Chinese knowledge and culture. I find this extremely meaningful, and this is the value of my life. And this is during 1958, the Great Leap Forward. Everybody in China making the furnace, smelting iron and steel. And this picture is the right guards put a slogan on the statue of Confucius, 头号大混蛋, the number one bastard. These Red Guards, during the Cultural Revolution, they gathered on Tiananmen Square and the dancing for Chairman Mao showed their loyalty. This is Mr. Deng Xiaoping. He went to Shenzhen. We call it a special zone, like a test field. In northeast of China, there's one city is called Changchun-shi. In 1931, Japanese occupied a large territory in northeast China, and they wanted to rule China like a colony. So they decided to set up a puppet regime. They chose the last emperor of the Qing dynasty. 1972, the puppet Manchukuo was established. The capital was in Changchun, and it's called Xinjing, new capital. And Pu Yi became the chief executive officer of the Manchukuo and later changed the title to emperor. I had learned English by myself for over 30 years. The motive is interest, because I found English is interesting. The word spring, it has three meanings. One is 春天, the season spring. Another one is 泉水, the spring water. A third one is 弹簧, the parts. Then I studied the Chinese character chun, spring. It also has three meanings. One is 青春, youth, just like the young teenagers. Another one is 怀春, in love, but especially for women. It also has the meaning of desire. The third one is liquor, alcohol. So over 1,300 years ago in the Tang Dynasty, people called the liquor chun. Jiannan Chun is a brand. I don't drink alcohol, but lots of my friends, they love alcohol. Maybe they taste like a spring. Then I checked the file. The Jiannan Chun alcohol was made of the water in Yu Fei Quan, Jade Concubine Spring. So that alcohol was made of spring water. So there's some connection. Chinese character was just like Lego blocks. Sometimes we put a radical beside one character, it will make a new character. Normally, it will borrow the pronunciation of that character, and sometimes it will also change. And now we'll learn few character based on chun, spring. The chun on the left, and put the wood radical on the left. It pronounced chun. It means a Chinese tongue. It's a kind of a tree native to China. And we take a look at the small seal script. The right part is a tun, and we have learned this character before. Tun, it all comes from the character tun. Because this tree is native to China, when they translate to English, they use the Chinese sound. So we see this picture. Left side is a wood radical. The right side is just like a tender sprout growing up. The Chinese tongue sprouts are very delicious and nutritious. I was born in the Western Mountain area in Beijing. In our neighborhood, every family around their house, there's a Chinese tongue planted. Every spring when the sprout come out, we will make a salad, or we can deep fry them with wheat flour. We call them xiangchun yu. It's like in the shape of a fish. Xiang means fragrant, smells good. But some people don't like the smell. When I was little, I don't like the flavor. But later, when I get used to it, you would love it. On a medical book over 400 years ago, it recorded the leaf of the Chinese tongue is bitter. It's poisonous. So as a Chinese medicine, you can fighting poison with poison. But we have a tradition. Before we cook the Chinese tongue, we have to boil them first. Right now, we know there's a nitrite in the leaf. So you have to boil it before you cook it. When the Chinese tongue tree grow big, we can also use the wood to build a house. Xiangchun, Chinese tongue. It smells good, tastes good. Xiang, fragrant. On the contrary, chou stink tree. Chou, stink, smells bad. But the sprout of stink tree is also edible, but not as tasty as the Chinese tongue. Now we can make a little Chinese tongue twister. Xiangchun xiang, chou. Chinese tongue is fragrant. Stink tree smells bad. Chun, chun, Chinese tongue. Left side, the wood radical, it symbolizes a tree. The right side, the spring, chun, is the pronunciation. Chinese people love a Chinese tongue. This character is a chong, chong, insect, worm, bug. The oracle bone inscription and the bronze inscription is just like a worm. Another writing of a bronze inscription is like a snake, but the small seal script is really confusing. When I try to explain the Chinese characters, when there's no clue, I will go back to the Chinese culture. The favorite worm of Chinese people is the silkworm. Our ancestors made beautiful silk, and the merchant transported them all the way through the Silk Road to Europe. The small silk script is just like a silkworm is making cocoon. This stroke is the silk thread. This part is like a silkworm spinning a silk thread around its body. The character chong is also a radical. We call it a 虫字边, warm side. Like this is cicada, chan. There's a warm side on the left. Cicada. We have a lot of Chinese characters with a multi-pronunciation. 虫, chong. The rectangular part is just like a cocoon. This part is like a silkworm standing up. 虫, chong. Insect, worm, bug. The radical is 虫字边, warm side. 中, zhong, 中国 中, central, center, middle. The silkworm pupa was in the middle of the cocoon. You can also remember the chong in this way. The bottom part is like a silkworm. The pupa was in the middle of the cocoon. 长虫, 长, 虫. Long worm is an old-fashioned way to call snake. There's a spring on the right side. The left side put the radical 虫, 春. It means a stink bug, shield bug. Spring has arrived. The stink bugs start to come out in search of food. Chinese characters are very interesting. What if we put two bugs on the bottom of spring? It's not pronounced chun anymore. is 蠢, 吃文蠢, regal, stupid, silly. Spring has arrived, the earth comes back to life. The top part is spring, and also its determined pronunciation, 蠢. On the bottom part is two worms, regal, and why it has a meaning of stupid, silly? Because those worms are brainless, act blindly, so it means silly, not offending the bugs. I remember the movie Man in Black, 黑衣人, black clothes man. There's one idiom called 蠢蠢欲动, wriggle wriggle, want to do something. It also means ready to do something. There's another writing of a small script of 蠢. You don't need to remember this character, it's a rare character, or died character. And we will learn one important radical and also how the Chinese character was made. This character was originated from a historical event over 2,000 years ago in Chinese history. Let's break it down. Pronunciation is 蠢, 吃文蠢. Left side is a spring, 春, and right side, this radical is 歌, 歌, 歌. This character is 歌, 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 dagger axe. Archival inscription is like a dagger axe. The bronze inscription was just like exactly as the dagger axe cast 3,000 years ago in the Shang Dynasty. Another writing, the bottom part, is the trident. The small seal script is like a double dagger axe. 歌,歌,歌,歌字旁, dagger axe side. In ancient China, there's one book called 尚书, the Book of Documents. It recorded 有大奸于稀土，稀土人亦不敬，月资蠢. It means in the West, there's a hardship. On the western frontier of the Zhou Empire, there's one tribe it's called Quanrong. The people there are not quiet. They are ready to do something. And this chun here, it means a turmoil, riot. 蠢, 吃文蠢, regal, stupid, silly. This kind of fighting behavior of the bugs is stupid. There's two bugs on the bottom. The character Chun Spring is just like a bottle of bug spray. The Zhi sun here is the bottle. This is spray nozzle, and this is the hand and the rest. In China, we have a saying, 授人以鱼不如授人以渔. It's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. My course is not only teach you more Chinese characters, but also teach you the way how the character was made. When you learn more Chinese culture, you can better understand the Chinese character and to remember them. The following three characters is a rare character. You don't need to remember, but you can understand how the Chinese character was made. 水,是为水, water. When it becomes radical, there's a 两点水, 2 dot water, and 三点水, 3 dot water. Normally 2 dot water means ice, freezing. 3 dot water means water. Chun spring on the right, left side is 三点水, 3 dot water. There's a two pronunciation. 庄, 之汪庄. It means a tree stump in deep water. Another pronunciation is 浑, 和文浑, means muddy. So remember, the chun has another meaning, alcohol. So put 3 dot water on the left. That means the alcohol is muddy. This character is 土, 和无土, soil, earth, dirt. Archival inscription is just like a pile of dirt. Bronze inscription is just like a sprout coming out from the earth. The small seal script is like a western-style cross-shaped tombstone buried in the soil. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It doesn't mean that, but this is just to help you to remember this character. It's quite interesting. In the early days, the Western missionaries came to China. They dedicated their whole life to China. When they passed away, they were buried in China, and their tombstones were similar to those of the Chinese people. 土 is also important radical. We call it 提土旁, right earth side, or 土字旁, earth side. We put Chun spring on the right, and the earth side 提土旁 on the left. It's Chun, 吃温春. It means field ridge, stone embankment. This character is 足, 子无足, foot. In archibald inscription and bronze inscription, the lower part is our sole and toes, the middle part is the leg, the top part is the knee. Another writing of a bronze inscription, the toes and the sole of the foot are rotated 90 degrees. The circle above represents the knee. The small scale script continued this writing until today's character. 足 is also radical, 足字旁, foot side. 春 spring on the right, the foot radical 足字旁 on the left. This character is 喘, 吃完喘, in disorder. In the spring field, the sprout just come out. Many people step on it. It become disorder. Now let's take a look of another character similar to chun. And what's that? It's 冲, 吃翁冲, means a pound. In archibald inscription, it's like two hands holding a pestle, pound in the mortar, up and down. This picture is a water-driven pestle and mortar. Normally, it was built along a creek and powered by a water wheel. With the pounding rice separates the rice husk from the grain. Sometimes pounding ore for smelting or making dye, and also pound wood pulp. 烘, 是翁冲, pound. 烘对, pound grain in a mortar with a pestle. This is a series of painting the farming and weaving illustrations of Emperor Yongzheng. In this painting, two people are pounding rice, and one man is not working. He was chatting with the farmers, and he is the Emperor Yongzheng of the Qing dynasty. We also see other paintings when we learn other seasons. 烘春米, pound spring rice. Now I got another way to remember the spring. The top part is just like a kite, the old Beijing-style swallow kite. And this is the head, and this is the wing made of bamboo, and this is the tail. The sun come out, the young energy rise, so we can fly kite after the beginning of spring. 春, 吃温春, spring. Did you get it?